weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln, Nebraska, what's going on? It's just absolutely amazing to have this opportunity to spend today with you. And, it's a beautiful Sunday. I mean, it's gorgeous outside. We're to that point where, it's a little cold and sometimes it's a little hot, but I'm really excited that today, there we go. I got Rudy on production today, by the way, so really appreciate him. You're listening to The Law of Lift. It's a beautiful Sunday in Lincoln, Nebraska. We're getting started here. My show is about people who just bring the energy. And, this guest today is a person who, ever since the first time that I met him, and we're going to have to really cross-check each other on that because he just brought something to my attention that I've known him for longer than I thought I had. And his energy and just his creativity and now his space in the community and all the things that he's doing in the community is just incredibly impressive. And I love to bring stories to you all from people from all across the country. We've had a few different out-of-state folks so far. I'm going to try to do more of that. But the gentleman today is from out west in Nebraska, and he's going to talk a little bit about that. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Tom Jara. Tom, how are you doing today?
Good, Dr. Chatters. Appreciate you having me on.
Man, it's awesome to have you on here. And, one of the first things that I always do on my show is just I impress upon people how much they impress me. And so I just want to tell you, you have wonderful energy. As I see you out in the community and I see all the things that you're involved in and the things that you're doing, I have an absolute appreciation for that. And I appreciate everything that you're doing in the community to lift this community up. And, again, as I think back now and I'm starting to there's some dots that are starting to get connected for me. I know that from the very first time that I got a chance to meet you and see just how creative you are and just kind of how much energy you bring to the table, that's just always been who you are to me. It's just that person who brings that energy. Someone who's a connector, someone who's able to build relationships. And so I just wanted to have you on my show because I think you're a cool person, man. And I think, that it's great to be able to hear people's stories. And for the most part, some of the people that I invite onto the show, I don't really know their story. And your story is a story that I don't know, but I know that we've crossed paths in so many different times in our life. And so, it's great to have you on the show. The first question that I always start out with.
Absolutely.
Is tell us where your name came from. So Tom, tell us about Tom. And is it Thomas? Is it Tom for short? Tell us a little bit about your name. Where's your name come from?
Sure. Yeah, it is Tom for short.
Okay.
Thomas is my birth name.
Okay.
What I've been told, what my mom's told me in the past is that my name comes from my uncle who passed prior to me being born. Uncle Tommy, my dad's brother.
I see.
And so there's a number of Thomases in my family.
Yes.
All on that side. So it's just one of those things that I take, they called him Tommy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that comes out now and a lot of people still call me Tommy,
Tommy. Okay.
Thomas. There's a few people that call me Thomas, especially one being my mom. But Tommy or Tom has usually been, kind of the name that I've heard.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, there's so much in a name. And I think I would imagine that over the course of your youth and just kind of growing up and into your name, did you hear any stories about your uncle?
Heard a few.
Yeah.
Heard he was an energetic guy.
Okay.
And so those were things that, I kind of, like you said, I kind of take into that personality now.
Yes.
And maybe it's just natural. Maybe it's something that I learned. Maybe it's something that I was kind of had to evolve into. But that was always what I understood about him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, when we think about those family stories and just the history behind a name, it's neat to kind of talk about that. And so, you've already kind of brought, your mom into the picture. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and where you grew up.
Sure. So I was born in Ogallala, Nebraska. About 3.5, 4 hours from here.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice with the time change when I go back because I get that hour back. But it was your classic small town community.
Okay.
We were, I look back on it now and we were so lucky growing up. We had Denver 3 hours away. The mountains were 3 hours away. Lake McConaughey was in our backyard. We had great golf courses out there. It was just a great place to grow up.
Yeah.
And just a great small town environment. Friday night lights during football.
Yes.
Everybody knew everybody. All the families knew everybody. It was a good community to grow up in.
Yeah.
You know, back then we were always so consumed with trying to get out of it.
Yes.
And now it's one of those things, like a lot of my friends still live back there in that community. They're teachers now, or they're working in the community, which is really nice to see them still give back to where we grew up.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things I look back on now. I'm like, it was a great place for us to be able to kind of evolve into the people we are today.
Wow.
And make a lot of mistakes, but also learn a lot of things along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ogallala, Nebraska. You know, we're heading out to Denver. I think a lot of people, Denver, Colorado, usually will pass through there, right?
Sure. Yep.
And just a really beautiful small town. You mentioned being close to the mountains and Lake McConaughey.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you think back to growing up there, what did it mean to be from Ogallala back then? Like, what would I have noticed about just you and your classmates kind of growing up in that area? You all were probably pretty tight knit. What was the size of your graduating class?
Graduating class was about 86 kids.
86. Wow.
So 86 kids. A lot of us still keep in touch to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where you just grow up in such a tight knit community. You know everybody in that class.
Right.
And even if like you weren't friends with them back then, you still always have that experience to fall back on. So we were the class of 2009.
Gotcha.
And I think from day one in high school, we were kind of queued up as that rambunctious group.
Yeah.
Which was always great. I think we had, when I look back on it now, there was a lot of unique personalities that grew up to do some very good things, which while we were a group with a lot of energy and rambunctious and you know, had our high school days. What I see these people doing now, it just shows we had just a lot of pent up energy, and now we put it into positive places.
Right. Gotcha. So you all had the energy back then.
Absolutely.
You did a lot. I mean, there's a lot of sports. I know in some of the smaller towns, you do a little bit of everything, right? But back then, I mean, it must have just, and it was a different time, you know, 2009. I mean, for folks out there from a historical perspective, the iPhone drops in 2007, right? And then things continue to develop. You got Facebook in like around 2006 or something like that. I mean, there's just all these things that now we see as standard that are just developing around that time frame. So a young Tom, what are you doing on the weekends in Ogallala, Nebraska?
Oh man, what wasn't I doing? Like that was when I first, especially in 2009, like that was when I really started getting into what could the future look like.
Yeah.
You know, we're going into college. I graduated at a young age. I was 17 when I graduated.
Okay.
So I was the youngest, one of the youngest in my class, if not the youngest.
Gotcha.
So I was already at that point where I'm like, I'm not 18. There's not a lot that I can do. So I put a lot of the energy into like, what's next for me. And at that time for me, I was super into like becoming a big thing in music. Maybe it's producing, maybe it's doing something, but I was extremely into music, always just messing around with different programs, DJ programs, downloading any music I could.
Yes.
You know, not the legal way as back then. You had a lot of access.
You had to rip it. You know?
Exactly. You had to be burning CDs, doing everything. So it was always these things where I was like, I wanted to be engulfed in different styles of music. And that was a time for me that it was, okay, let's explore this. Let's figure it out. And it was just a fun thing on those weekends to just hang with friends and like show them new music, or you know, if it was one of those maybe weekends where I was just downstairs in my house just either writing music or listening to different types or trying to find new types of music. But back then that was really all like my focus.
That's what consumed you was music.
Okay.
So what would you say, who were some of the influences as you think about you know, you're growing up, who were some of those influences from a musical perspective that really were getting you excited about the possibility of making music?
Sure. I had a very eclectic taste. I think looking back when, so I would always listen to my mom, listen to like old doo-wop hits. So she listened to a lot of Freddie Fender, a lot of different types of 50s, 60s type music.
Wow. Okay.
So I always grew up loving that style of music, anything from, you know, like the Temptations to finding like different groups that could harmonize and sing. So I love that. Growing up in Western Nebraska, I was very exposed to country music. So I did have a love for country music. And then I started really diving into hip hop, just listening to it from whether it be MTV was very popular, listening to different styles. And I remember when I was going through, it was Jay-Z was a big influence of that type of music when I was like just the different rhyme schemes and being able to hear like a different way of maneuvering words. listening to Jay-Z. And then when I heard the Reasonable Doubt album, that's when I really started to like dive into a deeper 90s style of hip hop.
Gotcha.
And more of a lyrical style of hip hop. And then Tribe Called Quest and everything else started to come in. So it was a lot of different just variety, rock music, whatever it would. So I always just loved to just be as eclectic as possible. And there was never really a style that I was like, this is all I listen to.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So it's neat to listen to people's influences, and it's awesome how even back then, you know, you go in one direction and you start listening to a certain type of music, and then it opens up another direction of music, right? And so you mentioned Reasonable Doubt, and of course, you know, Jay-Z's original album, and just kind of thinking, okay, what must have influenced him during that time to make an album like that? And then you start listening to some of the other things that were happening around that time frame. Really, you know, my own personal bias, but I think the 90s was like a very epic time for hip hop music. And there was just a lot of new genres that were coming online. You think about, you know, Nas, you think about, of course, Tribe Called Quest, think about Biggie, Tupac. Like, I mean, this was their heyday, right? It was like during the 90s. And so you're listening back to that music, but at the same time, you're in Ogallala, Nebraska, right? So, I mean, there's like, you know, you got some country music out there, some Kenny Chesney, right? Like some Toby Keith, like all this stuff, right? And did you ever play an instrument or anything like that while you were growing up?
Absolutely. So when I grew up, I was in band and I played saxophone for a long time.
Okay.
And then somewhere my sophomore year, it went missing and I just never picked it back up again. But I always loved playing the saxophone, playing in band, jazz band, everything else.
Yeah.
So it was always fun. And I remember I had this my mom, I don't know how she pulled it off, but she got me a black saxophone with like the gold piping.
Wow.
And so it was like my ultimate favorite thing, and then goes missing my sophomore year. And I just never.
So your saxophone actually went missing.
Yeah, I had it in the high school band room at some point, and I don't know where it went, and I just never asked questions. That was it. That was it. That was the end of it.
Oh my
goodness! I always think like I probably misplaced it somewhere and forgot about it, but that was it. Sophomore year.
Man, that black sax is somewhere in at a thrift store or something.
Yeah, probably.
Man, that's man. There's nothing like, especially being young and, you know, having something that is so valuable and losing it, right? And kind of finding the value pretty immediately that we can't just go out and buy another one of those, right? Yeah. So you played the sax, you were in band. What other things did you do while you were in high school and just kind of growing up in the community? What things were you known for back then?
Gosh, what was I known for? Maybe just causing mischief. No, not a ton, not anything like that, but you know, it was a time during high school where I was trying to really find like what was I good at. I still say it to this. Like I'm very average at a lot of things, which is not a bad thing, but like there's not one sport that I was like, you have an extreme talent in this. So I was pretty average at baseball.
Gotcha.
I was very undersized for football, so it wasn't my sport. I found that out very quickly.
Gotcha.
Picked up golf really quickly. I think golf and baseball were that. I played basketball for a while, but once everybody gets to 6 foot, you stay about 5'7".
Right. It's like, okay,
you know what your place is.
Yes.
But golf and baseball I really picked up, and it was one of those things through high school of like in senior year, I just said, okay, I'm going all in on golf. Golf went all in on.
Okay.
And that was the only sport I played, and then everything else I kind of dipped into. Was really focusing on music,
right?
And then actually did a musical in my senior year, which I would have never done before that, but like senior year was just this
exploration year, really.
Yeah, it was really like okay, now I have this newborn confidence. I feel like after this I'm going off to college somewhere.
Yeah,
like I was going to escape the small town.
Yes.
And I did after that, you know, went to Omaha at that time, or Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, kind of just traveled between those three for a little bit. But it was that time where I'm like, I'm just going to do what I want to do in this year and just enjoy the senior year. And so jumped into a musical, did, you know, music on that side, really started to figure out how could I hone in on this craft. And just focused on golf. And like, that was it. But I really enjoyed golf, more of a lifestyle. Like you can play this for the rest of your life kind of sport.
Absolutely.
And then the rest of it was just, I was having fun.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. So if we happen to, would we be able to find this musical where you're singing and dancing online?
Probably
somewhere?
not.
Okay.
Social media wasn't as popular back then, so it was one of those things. But it would.
Do you remember what musical it was?
It was called. I think it was called Damn Yankees. That's what
Okay,
it was.
okay.
It was a baseball one. So I was like, oh, yeah,
Nice.
baseball makes sense.
Yes.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And I just remember the audition. I was sweating bullets because before then, like a lot of people didn't hear me sing.
Right.
And I had always enjoyed just singing in quiet.
Right.
You know,
right.
no one hearing me. It was just me.
Yes.
But that was one of those things where I was like, the first time I had to do it in front of, it was two people, the choir director and and the producer that were setting up the musical.
Right.
And it was one of those things. I'm like, all right, well, let's figure it out. And luckily I had a couple buddies that were in it with me.
Right.
And all
that always
of them
makes
had
it
done
worthwhile, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and we had a blast. And all of them were, I really envied what they did because they were just so carefree.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we sing. It is what it is. I'm like, I want that. But
Yes.
You grow in the small town. It's always the sports and everything else.
That's right. That's right.
And I always just remember my dad telling me he was a 4-year letter winner in football and all these different things. So it was always like, that's the
path. That's the path you have to get. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was, well, senior year, we're just going to do our own thing. And I really liked what they were, just how carefree they felt about it. And I was like, I want that. So jumped in.
That's awesome, man. So, you're bringing up so many different pieces of just the culture of growing up in a small town, the expectation.
Yeah.
Right. Just kind of like, what are your friends and your peers doing? That sense of what your identity is as you grow up in those small towns and who your parents were. Right. Because that's so much of it too. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's just all those expectations. And so, you do golf your senior year and a musical and you're just thinking to yourself, hey, I'm out of here after this.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little more about just that sentiment of growing up in a small town and everybody wanting to get out. Tell me more about where you think that comes from and what that's all about.
I think just then, like we had, maybe at least for me. So my parents, I really appreciate the way that they let me grow up, allowing me to kind of make my own mistakes.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids that really didn't have the parents telling me what I couldn't do.
I see.
But they were still supportive, but they just weren't very disciplinary until I got in trouble.
Right.
But I would travel for high school games when we go to, if we play volleyball, district volleyball, out in the West, we'd go to like Alliance, which is like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And that's quite the drive.
It is.
But 16-year-old me would just, hey, grab some friends. Let's take the drive.
Wow.
And my parents were good with that. But I learned a lot through those things of stuff that I shouldn't be doing.
For sure.
With, driving too fast and everything else.
Yep.
But it was, for me, I just felt like, okay, I have this free reign. And so I felt like how much freer could I be just getting out of this smaller town, this bubble. And then the music was a real motivation for me to get out of a small town. Cause back to our conversation about the country music and everything else, like there wasn't a hip hop scene in Ogallala.
Right.
That was something I wanted. So I was like, okay, well, where do I need to go?
Yeah.
And the next best thing was Omaha, Lincoln. And then I think for some of my friends, it was always the university was here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, we're going to go to the university, UNK, all these places, get the college experience and go from there.
So that makes sense. So it was really for you about the opportunity to pursue something that you were interested in.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there in the small town. Right.
Correct.
And so, and it also sounds like, your parents instilled in you this sense of adventure, or at least this sense of self-confidence that was somewhat facilitated by their letting you do some things and learn some things on your own, right?
Yeah.
Kind of grow up
by
doing some things on your own. And when you decided that you were going to leave Ogallala, how did your parents react to that when you told them, okay, I'm heading out and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go somewhere else?
They were, I think my dad took it a little bit harder than anything. I was his only son.
I see.
And I think what also made it probably difficult for them is, take it back a little bit more. So I was adopted into that family. And so my dad, I was the only son, my daughter, my sisters were all older.
I see.
And they had, kids of their own. So I grew up with my nephews. We were all around the same age when we were growing up.
You were the same age as your nephews?
Yeah. So I was always the uncle that was always younger than some of my nephews and just barely older.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where I think they just, they knew at that time was going to come. And I think they saw it through my sisters when my sisters left home.
Right.
But I think it's like later on in their years, like they're getting to retirement age.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, well, we still, we still want to spend this time with you. And
Right.
it was still tough for me too, because my parents were older.
Yep.
I wanted to spend that time with them. Like I'm lucky enough to still, like, to this day, they still come up to Lincoln to
Oh, wow.
spend time with us,
That's great.
with me and my family now.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things where, looking back on it, then I think it was tough for them to see me go
Yes.
to college and kind of spread my wings. But at the same time, I think they knew that I had to kind of live that experience.
Right.
And I think they always wanted me to kind of do something more with what they felt were like gifts that I had. And they were always supportive of the music and stuff
Yeah.
moving forward.
Okay. Wow. So again, it sounds like there was some hesitation on their part to let you go, because they realized, okay, here you're going clear on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think, traditionally, unless somebody's from Omaha or Lincoln and they maybe go out to like Shattern State or something, they're not going to go so far west that people can't necessarily come see them. But this is a long drive to get out there. And it sounds like there were some other dynamics that were going on there. You talked a little bit about just their age, and sometimes I think with that last youngest child, there's a little less, control, right? Because they're kind of like, we've seen a couple of kids come through here, they've done fine. You'll be fine, especially with boys too, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's kind of like, hey, you go do, what you want to do. And so you decided to leave and go off to college.
Yep.
And where'd you choose to go to college? Where'd you start?
So I started at Mid Plains Community College.
Okay.
I was 17. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no plan at that point. I think I started going for a degree in music. Because I'm like, this is the way that you do it.
Right.
I had no education of what a music degree would look like. So
right.
I had no idea. But then I started taking these classes that were more vocally geared towards like classical music, which was interesting. Like I was interested in it, but I was like, this isn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so then I made that leap to kind of go to Omaha, living up with some people up there. And then I ended up moving back to Ogallala, and then like trying to think, okay, well, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I tried to go back to college for a little bit in that time, came back. I mean, when I was in Omaha, I went to Metro Community College for a little bit.
Okay.
I really was just trying to find, how do I make this part work, which was the music.
Gotcha.
But I didn't have an idea of like what I wanted to do. I know I had a lot of people going for different degrees, and they had like this plan mapped out.
Right.
And I didn't. I was just trying to figure it out. Where do I figure this out?
Yeah.
And then moved up to Lincoln because I was doing some music in Kearney and DJing some of the different like fraternity stuff that was going on there.
Okay.
And just because I had some buddies that were in the fraternities up there, and I was just DJing some of their stuff. And then I really started to more look towards I want to perform.
Right.
And heard about kind of what was going on in Lincoln and some different local artists up here. And I was like, well, that's kind of where I feel like I need to be. And told my parents, I was like, all right, I'm going to try this again.
So this is you back in Ogallala,
correct,
like resetting.
I'm going to try this again.
Right.
I'm going to move to Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I have some friends that have already said I could stay. I didn't even have a room. It was just, they said I could stay there.
Gotcha.
I couch surf for a little bit with some buddies.
Right.
And, just try to pick up odd jobs, figure out what I could, but with the main goal to kind of get in touch with some of the artists that I've heard up here. One being Ramon De Leon, which was Brown, who ended up being, he's still like a close brother of mine.
Yeah.
But finding him and just finding some of the similarities that him and I had.
Yes.
And then just working together and collaborating on some different types of music, and just that was such one of those comfortable moments. Like I was like, this is what we need to be doing at this moment in time.
Yes.
So it all
so
just
this
came
is
full circle.
2012, right? When you come here.
2012.
Yeah.
In that 2013, 14, 15 type of area right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting that, now most of the time, I think when we think of college, we think of this linear path. Like you said, like, okay, these are the classes that you're supposed to take. This is what you're going to major in. This is the specific degree that you're going to get, right? Yeah. If there's a certain amount of understanding of exactly where you want to go. But truthfully, the path of college is way more unique, right?
Absolutely.
For some people, especially folks that don't necessarily know exactly what they want to get into.
Yeah.
But we'll talk a little bit more about your unique journey out here, out east, and then back out west, and then back out east again. When we come back from this, you're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have Tom Jara on here with me today telling us this story, and it's pretty exciting. So we'll be right back after this.
After a long, hot summer, are you ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm, safe, and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Imagine hitting rewind on your life 10, even 20 years. With testosterone therapy from Limitless Male, you can turn back the aging clock and get your edge, energy, and confidence back. If you've lost your drive, sleep deprived, muscle loss, belly fat, irritable, you're not the guy you once were. Get your T levels checked at Limitless Male. More and more men are realizing hormone replacement can turn back the clock. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seating Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together.
Deciding on a college with your high school senior can be a little overwhelming for parents. But applying for money to pay for it is simple. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is now easier than ever with fewer questions and faster fill-out times. If you have a high school senior, now is the time to apply for thousands of dollars for classes, books, and housing. Get started, Nebraska, at dothefafsa.org. Sponsored by Education Quest Foundation. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln, Nebraska, we are back. I got Rudy on production today. He's taking care of us in here. I have Mr. Tom Jara in here with me today. We haven't even talked about what he's doing now, but he's doing something amazing on campus at University of Nebraska Lincoln. And, you know, that's where I usually get a chance to see him. That's where I kind of reconnected with him after the initial years. But so far, you know, Tom, just to kind of give a quick recap, you know, what strikes me about your story thus far is just you talking about this idea of growing up in a small town and having this desire to leave, but leaving that small town with so many great connections of people that you knew who really poured into you while you were growing up in that community.
Yeah.
I also hear a lot about how much of a positive influence your parents were on you and helping you to build your self-confidence and encouraging you to be adventurous and go out and take on the world.
Yeah.
I also hear that, you know, you left that community after your senior year participating in that musical and doing some of the other musical stuff that you were doing back then, listening to a lot of different genres and just really learning about music. You left with an appetite for music.
Yeah.
You wanted to be on the scene. I can kind of remember what the scene was like back in 2009 because, you know, this is like 8 years after American Idol starts. And we all felt like if just the right person saw us and saw our talent, that we could take off.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was such an important thought process, is that I'm talented. I can do anything I put my mind to. It's just the right person needs to see me. Right. And I know back then there were a lot of different shows that were really representative of people who were just plucked out of society, and then they got their chance, and then all of a sudden they were a star.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think we all kind of had that sense of idealism that it just took that. But of course, there's so much work that goes in behind the scenes just to be like a regular artist. Right. There's so much time and effort that goes into getting a degree in production, and you have to go to school for that. And there's a lot of math involved, and there's all this stuff, right? It's crazy how much stuff is involved in doing those things that you love. And so you talked to us about going to Mid-Plains and really not necessarily feeling like you kind of knew what your North Star was at that point. And so you kind of went there, you bounced around to some other places, little time in Kearney, little time in Omaha, and so on and so forth. And then back to Ogallala. And you're back there. You kind of mentioned during the break that, you know, there were some of these families back in Ogallala that were family friends that really also helped to kind of shape your perspective and confidence and just who you are becoming from an identity perspective. Tell us a little bit about some of those families.
Yeah. So I had a number of families. Like now I look at that of like, there was a reason that these families took interest in just pouring into a few of us at that time. And, you know, back then I looked at it as like, these are just my friends' parents. This is what friends' parents do.
Right.
But there were a couple of families that, I mean, they treated me like family from the first time I walked through the door. Like it was one of those no judgment type of things. Like they'd always welcome me to eat. I mean, a couple of them, you know, was like, hey, do you want to go on this trip with us as a friend to, you know, to one of my friends? And
nice.
It was one of those things like I didn't experience that. You know, my family, we didn't come from a lot of these, like, let's take trips. If we took trips, we were going to see family.
Gotcha.
That was the trip. It wasn't we're going to go on vacation.
On a vacation. It wasn't a vacation, just a vacation.
Correct. That was it. We are going for a reason. Graduation, family reunion. Those are like when we traveled and we were in a car for hours.
That's
like, this was one of those things where like, we're going on vacation. We're going to enjoy it. Like first time I went skiing was with a buddy and his family. And I had no idea how to ski, never been on skis, never like at that time it was being in a mountain resort type of a deal. It was like, this is beyond me, but I was so excited.
Yes.
And it was really neat to kind of see like how those making those type of memories could come to fruition and how you can do that with your family. I was like, okay, this is something that I want to pursue, but how do you do this? How do you get here? How do you do that? So it's one of those things I was tucked in the back of my mind, but I'm so grateful to those families for how they just poured into me in those times where I craved that structure of like, tell me that I can't do that because you care about me.
That's right.
And it was just something I always took in. Of course, I, you know, always tried to rebel against it because you're young and that's what you do. But you look back on it now, it's like I'm eternally grateful for those families because now that influence that I soaked up back then, and I always knew like they did it in my best interest. Like I look at that now, I'm like, there was a reason for that. And now there's a purpose of things that I need to do moving forward that they instilled in that time.
That's amazing. And what I hear you saying there is that you had a village, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't just your parents. There were other parents that saw you as their child and understood that perhaps there were some things that you needed to understand from a different vantage point.
Absolutely.
We all look at the world differently. And I think sometimes when you have the chance and there's this kid that keeps coming over all the time because it's one of your kid's friends. And
Yeah.
you're just like, gosh, I see so much in that young man or
Yeah.
young girl. And it's like they can be whatever they put their mind to because they have all this energy and talent, but they
Right.
just need a little bit more tweaking, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
and so I think it's neat that you think back on seeing some of those unique opportunities and privileges and opportunities that they had
Yeah.
through them. And that's so interesting that you bring that up because, you're right. I mean, some of us did grow up in families where we weren't able to just take vacations to take vacations,
Right.
right? And there's just a different lifestyle when you can do that. And when you're just going somewhere to have fun as opposed to accomplish something.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There was
You
always
know?
a goal at the
But-
end of it. Like,
yeah.
we're doing this and we're coming right back.
That's right.
Yep.
Exactly. It's like, and as soon as that's over, we're back here at home because people have to work. And
Yeah.
we have to kind of continue to make ends meet. And
Absolutely.
so when you think about that, though, what did watching your parents' work ethic as you grew up with them, what was that? What did that do for
Oh,
you
that
as you watched them
gave
work?
me so much. Like, so my dad worked on the railroad for 30 plus years. He retired at 65, was back to work just a couple years after that. Like, it felt like he got bored,
Yeah.
fixed everything in the house, and went straight back to work. And then he worked at our local church for
Okay.
another, gosh, I want to say over another decade.
Oh, wow.
Might be, gosh, coming up almost to 20 years. It was a long time that he continued to work at our local church.
Wow.
He's 87 now
Oh, my
and just
goodness.
had recently retired within the last couple of years.
At
So
87.
He's a
85.
hard
Okay.
he's a hardworking man.
Wow.
And he's always been that way. And to me, he was always the strongest guy. Like he was always the strongest guy. I remember it's frigid cold out
Yeah.
and it might be below zero. He'd be outside in his sleeveless shirt. And I just remember those like to a T. Those are the memories of my dad. Was never cold.
Yes.
Was always the strongest guy. And it was
Wow.
always just that work ethic that I saw he had. He was
Yes.
always working on something.
That's
So
amazing.
that always instilled something in me. And then my mom, she's still working.
Okay.
My mom's in her 80s, but she's at a daycare.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
she
Wow.
loves just working with kids, and she still seems young. Like, she's still able to keep up with these kids, and
Oh,
she's
my
still able to do
goodness.
that. So, it's one of those things where I just love that she continues to work because she enjoys it. She
Yes.
enjoys being with that kids, and when she's up here with my kids, she's able to be grandma.
Yes. Yes.
But she gets so much of she gets to see the young babies and the kids when she's at daycare.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of fills her heart too to be
Wow.
able to, since she's not here to
Yes.
take care of her grandkids, she
Yes.
gets to have her own.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's just neat to hear about, just your view of your parents and how much they've worked over the years.
Yeah.
They've been working your entire life
Yeah.
and continue to find joy in that. And it sounds like your dad's finally retired, right?
He
And
is.
So,
Yeah.
but retired from one job and took on another one pretty
Yeah.
quickly, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you remember about growing up with your dad being, or was your dad still working for the railroad when you were younger then?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so I remember a lot of that. When we would go with him sometimes to places that he'd be working at.
Okay. Wow.
And we had a motorhome that we'd live out of for weeks at a time,
Mhm.
which was something that was very unique. Like, I remember it to us, it was the best time.
Okay. Okay.
During that time, like we lived in a trailer park up north of town. And when we get these opportunities to travel around,
Mhm.
we'd still be in like trailer parks or RV homes. But, there was a summer we spent in Lexington at Johnson Lake, and we were right by the lake. So you
Okay.
get the lake every day, your young kids, you get to
Yes.
have like the time of your lives out there.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was an enjoyable time. Or we'd be in Kearney or Columbus. I think we'd go to all these places with him. Dad would be working.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we're just sitting there hanging out and not doing a whole lot. But back then you just could be in that community or in these areas and walk and do these things. Like, I was never bored as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, there was always so much to do. If you had that imagination, could make these things happen. Like, it was just
Right.
always such a fun time.
So you guys would live in basically like a camper for
Yeah.
the summer.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so your mom's there. Who else is there? Your mom, you.
Dad. Sometimes we'd bring some of my nephews with us.
Okay.
And so there'd be like 5 or 6 of us in this RV. And I mean, we didn't know any different.
didn't
it was
think
just always
anything
the
of
time.
it, it's
No,
just-
it was always the best time. Like,
Oh
we'd
my
always had,
goodness.
you had your best friends there, and then you have people you can go out and just mess around the lake with. Like, it was
Right.
it was a different time. It was such a fond time to look back on.
Wow.
Especially like going out to those places, just reliving those memories of like, man, we were pretty lucky to be able to have those experiences.
Yeah.
And then you grow from them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And just a very unique viewpoint to have the opportunity to be there where your dad is working. And again, he's out working all day, coming home at the end of the day. And you're just, I mean, would you ever do something like that now that you're at this age and you have your own kids? Would you ever get a camper and just take them? You know, like, I mean, what do you make of that?
I wish I could give them those experiences,
Yeah.
but like the older they get, where everything is just, you know, screens and screens and screens, like it'd be really hard for I think my kids to be away from like a place that doesn't have a TV to where they could have that. Like, I think it'd be a difficult part, but I would love to give them that experience to where they could be out in the open.
Yeah.
Like we just go out to the mountains and there's just nothing around.
Yeah.
And we kind of did that this last summer.
Oh,
we
that's
took them out
great.
to a small mountain town, but stayed in a cabin and just allowed them to like be near the lake and the water. And they just had like the
that's
stream and
awesome.
they had the most fun in the stream. Like they wanted to go back to the stream all the time.
Yeah.
And that was like, for me, it just felt good for them to be in an area where it's like, there's nothing around.
Yes.
We're just trying to enjoy it, take some pictures of the boys and watch them just throw rocks at a stream.
Oh, my
and that was an
gosh.
enjoyable time.
Yeah. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome. And I'm sure that it just kind of really brought back some memories for you too, of just those times when you were so free and had your cousins around and just having a great time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think about that and I just think about just how much adventure you all must have gotten up to, just being in a random town, getting to know like all the new people there, them getting to know you. You're in this place. There's other people living there and it's just play until it gets dark out. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So, you know, when I think about your adventurous spirit and I think about, you know, all these things that are part of you and really make up who you are in your worldview of just kind of looking back on some of these things, reflecting on these things and understanding how those things had an impact on you, it really helps me better understand just your perspective now and just the energy that you come to the table with, because, you know, it sounds like you had a really unique and full of energy upbringing, right? And lots of great experiences and everything else. So, you know, we had kind of talked a little bit about your initial step into college, kind of back and forth. You went back to Ogallala, then you decided to come back and you found your place in Lincoln and there was a music scene going on here, right? And tell us, by now it's 2015 and you're still trying to do the college thing, but how did you really like put a base down here because of music? What was it that really drew you in here?
Sure. So I think it was that first meeting with Ramon and I.
Yeah.
So when Ramon and I first met, and it's interesting to look back at this now, but we just had such a chemistry when it came to the music that we liked, the type of style, the type of experiences that we had.
Yes.
And the first time we met, we actually sat down, wrote a track together,
Wow.
and then recorded it. And it
Oh
was
my
one of
goodness.
those things that we did at shows all the time, because it was just that old back and forth style of hip hop that we go back and forth and try to finish each other's lines. And there was such a meshing there.
Yes.
And then him and I continued to just get to know each other. I think both of us at that time were kind of in our own lanes of like, we kind of had a similar lane. I think for first meeting, we were probably like, we're competition.
Yes.
In that time.
Yes.
But then I think once we found like this was a simple meshing, like this just felt right. We were both like, all right, we need to go after this together. We need to figure out how can we make this work. And I remember just meeting him. He's still to this day, I think Ramon's still probably my favorite rapper of all time. Just understanding how he could put different things together. He was bilingual, so he could rap in a different language and just flip it on like a switch. The amount of content that he would put from like learning something in a college class,
right,
and then putting that into something that is creative, like just putting that, like it was so interesting to me to hear him, his thought process and put those things. So I was always just amazed by the way he would create. And then when we do it together, I was always like, I just want to back you up. I'll be your hype man this whole time. Just let me know. Like that's where I would have loved to be. He was always like, no, we got to do it together. So we continued to go down that path.
That's awesome. So we'll continue talking about that. Just, you know, again, the music, just getting to hear a little bit more about Tom's story here. You're listening to Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back after this.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
If the power is out, traffic lights might be too. If you come across a dark intersection, treat it like a four-way stop. See more tips at les.com/safety.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Are you looking to upgrade your equipment and keep cash in your pocket? Through October at Landmark Implement, get up to a 24-month waiver on select John Deere tractors and combines, or lock in a 2.9% fixed rate for 36 months, followed by a qualified standard rate for another 36 months. Whether you're thinking of this year's harvest or planning ahead, we've got a solution that works for your bottom line. Visit your local Landmark Implement for more details, or check us out at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates, financing, savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, Lincoln, Nebraska. We're back. I'm in the studio here with Tom Jara, and it's just been so interesting to listen to his story so far. And he just absolutely like dropped some really cool stuff on me this last segment about spending summers with his nephews and his family, just kind of like traveling around Nebraska with his dad's job and just totally enjoying summer. And, growing up, I was a Boy Scout and I used to love to go camping. And man, camping is just so much fun. You're just out in nature. You're having a good time. And then when I got into college, I actually did one summer as a camp counselor. And so we would actually go to different communities and we'd be there for like a week and then we'd go to a different community. And I always thought it was so great to like experience different communities throughout the summer, right? So you got a chance to do that too. It's really cool. And, before the break, we were talking about your journey here to Lincoln and meeting Ramon De Leon. And shout out to Ramon, by the way. Him and I, we kind of crossed paths later, during that time as well, because his rap name was Brown, right? And then what was your rap name?
Just Tommy J.
Tommy J. Okay, Tommy J and Brown. Okay, so we kind of crossed paths in a number of different areas, and but I know he's, I believe he's working still for a company that does like restaurant. Maybe.
So he's doing now in insurance out in Omaha. Yeah.
Okay. So shout out to Ramon. Like, man, he's such a great person and got to know him and his dad as well during some time and everything. And just, man, all the hard work that they've done. Right. So, so you're here in Lincoln and you're really starting out your rap career. Right. And so tell us a little bit more about that. Like, tell us about the highs and the highs of that.
Oh man, that was such a time. So many learning lessons along the way of it too. Ramon really took me in because he had been doing music for a long time before I got up here.
Gotcha.
High school, all through that, just learning from him of how Lincoln operates and works was such a unique experience. So when I was up here, I had a few songs out in Kearney that had some people here in Lincoln be like, hey, we want you on this show, want you on this show, want you on this show. And Ramon really started teaching me the business side of it of, hey, I just want to let you know. I remember this phone call. He's like, I just want to let you know, like, you got to understand your worth when you go into these shows.
Yeah.
And so those were the first times, like, him and I just built that trust of, like, I knew he wasn't after it from, like, I don't want you to get this show because I want this show.
Right.
I'm just looking out for you.
Gotcha.
Here's some things. And so him and I just really, I always appreciated the way that he looked at this as a business.
Yes.
And those always just stuck with me. And that's how him and I kind of really meshed about it. So when him and I would go to shows, we were always ourselves. We just enjoyed it. Like, it was like, it felt like such a fun hobby to us because we loved making the music. We were just jokesters around, just, I don't think we took it extremely serious.
Gotcha.
We just really enjoyed the live component of it, the creative portion of it, and just being able to kind of express ourselves in different ways. And so for him and I, like, when we go to shows though, it was all business. Like, we looked at it of how can we market ourselves in the best way through these, how can we set certain standards? So when we'd show up for shows, like, we were always on time.
That's awesome.
Or early. And we're, making sure that we're finding whoever put on the show and just making an introduction, shaking their hands, like making sure we're bringing a professionalism to what we were doing.
Yes.
And that was always something that we took pride in. Like, when we would do shows, we always felt that was something that is set for us. This is our lane. This is stuff that we need to do. And then we're always going to put on a good show. Like, that was something, let's bring energy. Let's make sure we're practicing these things out. Let's make sure we're making sure that any songs that we bring to it, it's not just one tone. Like, we have some songs that will bring high energy. We have some songs that will kind of tone it down, and then something that'll wrap it up to where everybody kind of can have their own flavor of it, like what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so we just loved that process of it. And so it gave us a lot of opportunities. And it gave us a lot of chances to meet people like yourself.
Yeah.
That, you already had businesses in town, and like, we got to meet so many cool people along the way. And we got to open up for shows that, we would only dream of at the time. And it was those things like, I remember we opened up for Juvenile, we opened up for Kid Ink, we opened up for Nappy Roots, like all these bands that we just used to listen to.
Absolutely.
And then we actually just got to open up for them. Like it was such a surreal experience for us.
Yes.
We always had so much fun doing it.
That's awesome, man. It's so awesome to hear about that. And we'll talk even more about that kind of when we get to the top of next hour. Man, Tommy J and Brown.
Yeah.
You guys had some great music, and we'll hear more about that after this. You're listening to Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back right after this.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
If the power is out, traffic lights might be too. If you come across a dark intersection, treat it like a four-way stop. See more tips at les.com/safety.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Are you looking to upgrade your equipment and keep cash in your pocket? Through October at Landmark Implement, get up to a 24-month waiver on select John Deere tractors and combines, or lock in a 2.9% fixed rate for 36 months, followed by a qualified standard rate for another 36 months. Whether you're thinking of this year's harvest or planning ahead, we've got a solution that works for your bottom line. Visit your local Landmark Implement for more details, or check us out at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates, financing, savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, Lincoln, Nebraska. Hour 2. I've got Tom Jara in the studio today with me today, a.k.a. Tommy J. Like, y'all didn't even know. This guy's, not only is he a vice president at a bank, but he's also a rapper. Like, you know, I mean, it's kind of funny because, you know, we always talk about all these things that people do and the inspirational components of their life. And I just love to hear between the lines, right? The things that essentially are those passions that we have, those different projects that we've worked on over the course of our life that are just purely creative.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's not much that's more creative than creating rhythm and poetry and being able to perform that, and really through your music being able to like convey a message. I think there's something so amazing about that. And just the metaphor and the ability to paint a picture within music, I think, is an amazing thing. And so tell us more about, you know, your time in the music industry. And did you and Ramon always perform together, or did you ever have like a solo deal, or was it you and him all the time together?
Sure. So it started off mainly solo for I think both of us.
Yeah.
And then there came a time where it was just it was best to do it together because we just knew each other's style. So if we were performing, and like it was always one of those things where I knew almost every single one of his lyrics. So if he needed to take a breath,
right,
I could back him
You
up. So
had
it was
it
always
there.
the
Okay,
hype. And then
okay.
he knew the same. So it was always one of those things it was easy to perform together. But then like when he would when we do some maybe like we'd release a mixtape show or anything like that, we would have like single sets, solo sets and stuff like that. But it was just weird. Like then we had backing vocals and stuff like that to make sure like we need to take a breath, we do it. But together it was always live.
That's
and
awesome.
so it was something that it was better together in those times.
Yeah.
So it was always just fun to have
So
that.
if there was a group that you would compare yourself to, like who would that group be? Like that was kind of similar where they rap together, because, you know, certainly there's some groups that over the years have rapped together and kind of had that same kind of chemistry. Who would you compare yourself to?
I always compared us to Tribe Called Quest. It was very when we were together, it was always trying to be like lyrical, as much as we could, but still have those like Check the Rhyme, like those anthems that you could have that just got a crowd going.
Yeah,
that was always something that I would compare it to.
Gotcha.
So that was something that we looked at of like, how can we bring that style of energy while still putting substance into the music that people will subliminally hear every now and then.
Gotcha.
So
speaking of that substance, what was it really that drove your writing and what you wanted to convey with the music that you were making? And what was that? Because, you know, for some people it's, you know, I mean, you think about some of the lyrics, like from music and stuff, there's just some people are storytellers, some people are talking about where they grew up. I mean, what really compelled your writing and your music?
Sure. So it was all over the place for a while, because once again, we tried to look at it of how do we get people to listen? So we looked at it as like almost a marketing thing. Like we're going to have to release songs that are popular, that can get people to listen to the other stuff that normally they might not. Like to us, if you weren't listening to lyrical hip hop and trying to actually hear the message and just understand it,
right,
it was really hard to like, that's what we only do.
Gotcha.
And so we both had those songs that would be like, okay, you could play this in a club or anything like that, and you could play that and people would dance to it and listen to it. But then hopefully that would get them interested in, okay, well, what else is out there? And then hopefully they'd start listening to some deeper cuts and different tracks and stuff like that. So for us, it was always like we wanted to put a message out there, and like be able to tell some different stories and like, you know, write these like long paint a picture to essentially any of the audience.
Right.
And it was always just something that I appreciated about him. And it was always something that was like, that the guy can tell a story,
right?
Also make a song that's popular, but also be told like, hey, I want you to make a song that sounds like this,
right?
And be able to do it.
Gotcha.
Like, so he just had that ability. For me, it was always like, I want to do what he's doing. I want to do what he's doing. So I really like the content of being able to tell a story, but also enjoyed being able to like, I loved hyping people up.
Yeah.
And being able to get people excited or off their seats or make a crowd kind of change different, like the waves would be different.
Gotcha.
In that crowd.
Like energy in the crowd. Yeah.
You could just feel it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what are some of your fonder memories of participating in performances, and where's kind of the farthest that you all ever traveled? And
sure,
I know this is kind of like, I mean, gosh, we're talking 2015.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, Instagram is kind of starting to grow a little bit more. Facebook, especially like during that time frame, they'd really monetized and allowed you to like push your stuff and everything else.
Yep.
Where was your music really taking you all?
Sure. So I think in my opinion, I think Ramon could have went the distance because I felt like he had that ability. He had that voice. He had the content. He had a story to tell. And I always wanted to push him towards that direction.
Yeah.
But what we loved about it was being here in Lincoln and being able to kind of, when we would open for the shows that would be here, we always loved to be able to bring an energy into that crowd.
Yep.
Before that main act would come on. And so when the Red 9 was still here, the outdoor,
I remember that
style.
Yeah.
That was always fun during the summer because that place would just be, that whole back area would be packed.
Yes.
And then Bourbon Back Room.
Yep.
When we had the Kidding show and it was completely sold out and you're seeing people all the way up, all in the crowd, and being able to actually leave that show, we performed first, and being able to leave that show first with just the energy of the crowd was just feeling hyped, extremely hyped up. And then performing before Nappy Roots, and Nappy Roots came on, that show was just one of those fond memories that we just look back on.
Yes.
And think like, wow, we actually performed as hard as we could during that show. We felt good about it. We felt good about the music. The crowd was really into it. So a lot of things that came up, but those were things that we just loved.
That's amazing. So, you really had a lot of your fan base here in Lincoln, right?
Yep.
And so, we kind of were talking during the break, and then you said that around 2018, right, things started to kind of slow down a little bit. And talk to us about when you kind of like, hung up the microphone and when you decided that you were going to start doing something else, because clearly you then took a different direction and went into a different industry. So what caused that?
So I think we both had just different goals for where we want our lives to end up.
Yeah.
And both of us came to this point where we're just like, we're teetering on that age of 30. We're getting into our later 20s. And both of us were just kind of like, we had different aspirations. And I think we both had different skills. We're like, hey, these are things that we can take into a different industry.
Yeah.
We both had a lot of connections that we were just like, hey, we know how to talk to people.
Right.
We both had different skills. Ramon had graduated with a marketing degree. Like, he was doing different things and pursuing different things.
Yes.
I was like, okay, well, I'm still in that phase where I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I had since then gone back to school, went to Southeast, and in 2018 got my associates, and was like, okay, where do I want to go? And it was at that time where I'm like, okay, well, I need to figure that out, because I just, met my wife a few years back. And at that point I'm like, all right, I'm ready to settle down.
Yeah.
Both of us were like, okay, we want to buy a house, do all these different things. And in 2018, we had bought a house. We were engaged, all these different things.
Yes.
And so I was like, it's time. It's at that point in time, like, let's move into the career phase.
Yes.
And what more can we do with the talents that God's given us? So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you decide that you're going to move on from that. And, do you recall there being a time when there had been so long since you had performed or really thought about or really engaged in kind of like the music making, and you and Ramon had kind of gone your separate ways doing your own things professionally?
Yep.
Can you recall a time when you kind of looked back and missed it?
I think I missed the camaraderie that Ramon and I had, and just, being able to meet different people along the way. Because that was always the I think when I look back, that was always the funnest part, is the business side of strategy, of how do we make sure that we're in the right places at the right time.
Yes.
That was back when we'd go pass out mixtapes around town.
Yes.
And I always loved that for him, not necessarily for me, but for him. Like when he'd be like, hey, we're going to go pass these out. It was always something that I'm like, this is a product that I can sell.
Yeah.
This is something that I believe in. This is something that I will talk to anybody and everybody who walks by.
That's awesome.
And so for me, it was always that business side, that sales side, that if I believed in it, I was going to push it. And for him, it was always something I believed in. So I think I miss that more or less.
Yes.
Not the working in the late nights and that was during like the hustle culture of like when it just felt like that's what you had to do.
For sure.
And those were late nights of like, up till 4 a.m. trying to write these things. Like we would, we look back, we would write overnight, all night long.
Goodness.
We'd wake up and we'd walk down to the McDonald's down by his place. And it'd be 7 a.m. We haven't even gone to sleep yet, but we've written 2-3 different tracks that we were like, okay, let's keep working on these things.
Oh my
gosh. It was
gosh.
just all night.
That's amazing. What I love to hear is, I love to hear about that spirit of hustle, because I think that, we all, to an extent, have something that we're so committed to that we're willing to allow time to just fly by, and it doesn't matter. We're just working on our craft, right? And so it's awesome to hear that you experience that. You experience being in that state of flow with a writing partner where you all are just loving the concept of bouncing ideas off of each other. You're like, just moving together and everything else. That's amazing to hear about. But it also sounds like, there was a point at which you're like, okay, we've done a lot here. We've enjoyed ourselves over these last few years, and now it's time to move forward. And so you said you went to Southeast and you got an associate's, and then you mentioned early on that there had been some people in your life. You talked earlier about that village that you have, of people, those adults from back in Ogallala, and some family friends that really poured into you, who had kind of brought maybe this idea of the possibility of working at a bank up.
Right.
Could you talk to us more about that?
Sure. So I just had such support at that time. And in 2018, I just had to come to this realization of, okay, what gifts do I have? What's going to make me happy? What do I want to do? Where do I want to be at? What does life look like post this? And it came down to like asking my wife, who we just bought in a house. We were just getting ready to get married. I was working in a sales job, and I was like, I'm going to take a risk here because I think this is right, and move into banking and go to a teller, which, I had in a sales job. Sales can pay you pretty well.
Absolutely.
You for that job, like I'm going to take a pay cut to become a teller to jump into this bank that I think, I've heard. I had a couple friends that worked there, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think of it? They told me about it. I'm like, that sounds exactly like something I'm looking for.
Right.
I didn't really know what the mission was going into banking, but what I was lucky enough to look back on and what I had was going back to that village in Ogallala. I had a lot of friends whose parents were in different professional realms, from lawyers to bankers to dentists, everything else. And I always looked at like, well, where did they go to get to that place, and how did you get there, and how does that happen? And so I was lucky enough to just kind of see that example. And one family in particular was a good friend of mine. His dad was, I believe, the market president for our bank at that time in town. And I just always remember my parents kind of being like, we gotta go to the bank and we gotta talk to Brad. And I was like, okay, I heard that.
Right.
And then his wife was really always a positive support in my life. It still is. Like, she got me actually into mentoring a young man for the first time. And I, and my life was like, what can I teach a young kid? Like, I was like, I'm young myself. I have no idea.
Right.
But it was such an uncomfortable position for me to be in.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to teach this kid. But then it came to the reality, like, I don't have to live a certain amount of life. Like, sometimes he just needed someone to be able to confide in or talk to, or just be present. And that was it.
Absolutely.
And so that was something that stuck with me for a long time. But being able to have those two as a constant presence throughout that. And I just always remember the the positivity that my parents always had coming out of that, or lessons that are like, hey, we got to do this, or just having someone that they could talk to in a financial realm that neither of them come from that backing. I don't come from that. Like when it came from money, like I made my fair share of mistakes, not knowing how to save, not understanding. Like I think I got my first bank account when I was 18.
Okay.
So didn't have a debit card. There was a lot of things where I'm like, I'm just trying to figure this out.
Right.
But I always remember that positivity that was always given to my parents, and just being able to ask questions and talk through it. I was like, why can't I do that for people?
Right.
You know, because my goal was to help people. How do you do that? Like there's so many different ways. And so that was one way. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like I can talk to people. I've been in sales for a while. Let's go all in on banking. And so I became a teller in 2018, and from day one, just loved the culture of Union Bank. And was given so many opportunities to grow within that role. So I was a teller for a couple months, became a banker, was a banker for a couple months to a year, and then moved into the branch manager role at one of our locations. Was a branch manager, managed through COVID times, and then was offered was given the opportunity to become the regional manager. I was still only maybe 2 years into the bank, and given that opportunity, that's where I really started to understand how much more impact can be made when you're in the right position.
I see.
Have the right team, have the right people, have the right support behind you from a company that truly does give you opportunities, development, like pushes you to those goals, pushes that limit, and gives you the autonomy to be able to do that and utilize your skills to do that. So I was that regional manager for 5 years, and then moved into this role as the VP of Business Development down at the university. And so now been in that for a few months. Like that is exactly, now looking at it holistically, every skill that I've built that we've started to talk through here, meeting people, talking to people, sales, networking, being able to communicate with people from all different areas of the state, Lincoln, different backgrounds, areas, like that helps me in this position. And I just feel lucky that, you know, a company would give me the opportunity to do something that I feel is just what I was meant to do.
That's awesome.
And to that family in Ogallala, when they were there kind of giving me those opportunities, like I look at that now in this position that I'm in, of being able to talk with faculty, staff, and students of, well, now I can just listen and understand and try to create, you know, like, how do we help in the best way, or give, you know, some sort of guidance or resources, and just be a resource on campus. Just like I had. Like I had that resource. I think everybody should still have that same resource, and be able to give that ability to ask questions, break down those walls, those barriers of, you know, finances are sometimes scary to talk about.
For sure.
So if you can have that person that can tell you, like, I've lived these experiences too. I, you know, don't come from this background, but these are learned things that we can learn, we can walk through, we can guide, we can give you these resources and help you along this journey. It's not just one question, and no question's gonna make you feel less of yourself, or you can walk in and feel comfortable, and hopefully we can start to break down those walls. But it all starts with that conversation.
Definitely.
That initial conversation. Let me ask you some questions and see what comes from it.
Right. That's amazing. And, you know, it's just great to hear about, and you just kind of, you really did go pretty rapidly through your progression at the bank, which I think is fine. You know, I mean, but not everybody progresses that quickly, right? However, I think that what they were quickly realizing is that you had this wider skill set and a wider capacity to support people and help people. And you just kept moving up. So tell us, like, when you first start as a teller at a bank, and then you move from teller to banker, what does that even mean? Like, what's the difference? Because I didn't grow up in a culture that understands banking either. And so tell us, what's the difference between a teller and a banker?
So essentially the difference is you can open accounts.
Gotcha.
That's the main difference. I always talk to any of our tellers that I see, like, it's one of the toughest jobs out there, because you are the front facing, person of the bank. You are representing everything from customer service. Like, you get exposed to so much.
Absolutely.
And you have to know so much. Like, there's so much that goes into it, and learning that job at such a quick rate, you know, going into the banker role, I'm still working up at the teller line, still running transactions, still doing what a teller does, and then with the ability to open up accounts. So when you're in that role, you're now having to know everything about a little bit of everything.
I see.
And then carry it out. So that role has continued to evolve over time.
Yes.
So it's, for a teller, it's not just running transactions anymore. It's making sure that we're understanding customers' needs, understanding that, if we see a need that they have, that we're able to talk to them about that or answer the questions that they have the knowledge, work through, different fraud situations that come up. I mean, that's something that just happens.
Yeah.
And it's being able to de-escalate that situation, because it's a scary situation when someone comes in and says, hey, my money's gone. Okay, let's look through it.
Yeah.
Let's being able to have that human part of the banking role. And a lot of our tellers do that. I mean, expert level, and it's so fantastic to watch them be able to do that.
Yeah.
But moving into that bank role, that's when you're sitting down and having those conversations. And I just remember, my parents having to have those conversations of, how do we apply for a loan for cars and different things like that, and being able to, operate differently in that way. Cause I remember a lot of it was just cash in my background, cash check, have the cash, spend it till it's gone.
Yep.
Kind of a deal.
Yep.
It wasn't this, how do we save? How do we, make sure we're paying these loans off? It was layaway was a thing.
Yes.
All these different catalog orders, like buy it on credit and just hopefully you can make those payments, kind of a thing.
Yes.
But it's like understanding the financial education. And I'm so lucky to be able to look back on those memories and say, now in this position, when I got into being a banker, having those conversations of, tell me a little bit more about that. Help me understand kind of really what's going on,
right?
And diving into that, and then being able to just have those genuine conversations, create a customer base, and help people.
Yes.
And then I felt like as a banker, I loved that job.
Yeah.
I didn't even like, I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah.
I felt comfortable in that role and loved it so much.
Yeah.
But the call to lead, the call to help people has always been something. And that's the only reason, jumping into management. But I'm so glad I did, because I told you during the break, I thought mortgage was my direction, because I was working in sales, had worked in sales for 10 plus years at that point.
Right.
This is what I thought. Like, mortgage is very similar. It's on my own. It's individual, and I'm going to, help be a part of this team.
Mm-hmm.
I just fell back in love with customer service and just helping people in that realm.
Gotcha. So I hear you saying that the tellers are really, that's that initial learn a little bit of everything, understand people's different circumstances. And, when I see a teller, I see someone who does have to deal with the different challenges of customers as far as like language barriers and just different abilities to understand what's happening, different technological understanding, right? Because now there's those generational things where somebody's like, they are from an era where they never used their phone for banking, but so many people are using their phone for banking now, right? And and the fraud component, and that's so important to bring up, because there's a lot of that happening now, and it happens online, and then all of a sudden the money's gone out of a person's account, and you have to calm them down and say, we'll get to the bottom of this. There's just so much going on there. And so that's where you really cut your teeth and started to understand kind of all those things. And then you went into the banking side, so you can open accounts and you can ask people. And I know within the banking industry, there's different vehicles, right, that you can use. So there's savings account, there's checking account, there's all business account, right? Like all these different types of things. There's certain compliance components that you have to assure are there before you open accounts and different things for the bank's purposes. And so then you get to this regional director role. Tell me about that. Like from a regional perspective, is that kind of regional, like is UBT in multiple states then, and you were over a certain region there, or what?
So we were over the region in Lincoln. So there's at that time, there were 3 regional managers that oversaw the Lincoln area. I was one of them. We helped oversee totally the 15 locations currently in Lincoln. I oversaw 6 directly with 6 different managers. So that was where, like, when I really looked at, okay, how can we continue to serve? It was COVID taught a lot. Because it was, now I was managing remotely through some things. So for me, it was super easy to manage in the branch. You're there, you're
see
constantly,
people.
absolutely. So you get to work, you can utilize the skills that you had, that I already had at that time. But learning to trust fully in my team,
right,
because I couldn't be there, was such a different time.
I see.
But I worked from home for a little bit, and I was so lucky that the bank allowed me to do this, because my oldest son we didn't know this at the time, but he has asthma, and once we figured that out, but a common cold would knock him out for a week, and we'd be hospitalized, and we'd have to figure that out. And I just remember those times of being like, okay, well, do I take time off? I'm coming from this culture back then where it's like, you don't take days off.
Right.
If you did, you're weak. You thought you were weak. No, everybody looked at you like you couldn't do that. That was a completely opposite experience. And that was what's weird for me of like, it was family first, like take care of your family.
Right.
And like, actually like, don't worry about work. We're going to take care of you. You go take care of your family, because once you're good there, you will come back to work
and be even better,
fully ready to do that. And from that moment and that was when I was a manager, I was fully bought in. But then like through that COVID time, it taught me like, okay, I got to trust my team.
That's
so
amazing.
when I go into the regional role, now I have 6 different locations. I got to trust them fully.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that when we come back. So you're listening to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have Tom Jara in here with me today, and we'll be hearing more from him when we get back.
After a long, hot summer, are you ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm, safe, and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at the 27th and I-80 location.
Imagine hitting rewind on your life 10, even 20 years. With testosterone therapy from Limitless Male, you can turn back the aging clock and get your edge, energy, and confidence back. If you've lost your drive, sleep deprived, muscle loss, belly fat, irritable, you're not the guy you once were. Get your T levels checked at Limitless Male. More and more men are realizing hormone replacement can turn back the clock. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together.
Deciding on a college with your high school senior can be a little overwhelming for parents. But applying for money to pay for it is simple. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is now easier than ever with fewer questions and faster fill-out times. If you have a high school senior, now is the time to apply for thousands of dollars for classes, books, and housing. Get started, Nebraska, at dothefafsa.org. Sponsored by Education Quest Foundation. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, Lincoln, Nebraska. We're back. I'm here with Tom Jara, and he's talking about the banking industry. And that's just one of those industries, honestly, I don't know very much about at all. And, you know, I owned a business for 7-8 years, went to the bank every single, pretty much, 3 times a week doing my deposit and, just didn't really understand fully the concept of banking. Yeah. And at the same time, I understood the transactional component. I understood point of sale systems, different things like that, right? Yeah. And I kind of started to learn more about that being in the business. But, just you telling us a little bit about these roles, about being a teller, being a banker, then there's the mortgage side, then there's the investment side. There's all these different sides of banking, right? Yeah. It's a major building block of our country, I think, and it allows people to comfortably keep their funds somewhere, right? And it's so much more than that. And so earlier you were talking a little bit about building relationships, just really understanding. I mean, what was very interesting is you talking about just the challenges of COVID in the banking world. Yeah. Right? Like, what do you do when you can't allow people to walk into the bank, or there's all these issues with interacting with people, and people want to have a personal interaction when they're giving you money most of the time, right? Because they're like, hey, you put it in that account and I need to see it immediately, right? There's some trust things there. But you kind of talked about working from home for a little bit, and then eventually you kind of come back into the branch, I would assume, full time. You're doing the regional manager component. You have 6 banks, you said?
6.
And then, then you get this call to come to the university and be a VP, right? And manage more than just a bank, but then also the relationship with an entity and all these different types of things. So tell us what that was like for you.
Right. That really made everything come full circle. Yeah. So in the regional role, I went through a lot of like soul searching in that, because there was a lot of imposter syndrome that came with that. Of being in, it's funny you say, like, not understanding a lot about the banking. I didn't either. I didn't have a background in that. Right. I didn't come from that style, but what I loved is I was always able to ask questions all along the path, but also been given all the tools to understand it more and dive in deeper. And the way that I look at it now, like what my job is to this day, is truly focusing on the relationship and being that resource for the faculty, staff, and students of the university, as well as the downtown market. So just being able to connect in those different areas, which is exactly what I feel like I'm supposed to do. That's where my strengths lie. That's really it. And then I'm lucky enough to have a very strong team that really can do everything, anything, and really do a lot to make my job very, very fun, but also easy for me. Because they're just good at what they do.
That's awesome.
I have a lot of people I can lean on, but in that regional role, first 2 years were a learning experience. You try to be someone else. You try to lead in the way that you think you need to lead.
Right.
And then I had a good heart to heart with my boss, and he sat me down and we talked, and I was like, I didn't know if it was right. We had that kind of like, I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. Here's what I think. And we really worked through that. And then in the last 3 years of the role, I started to hit a stride of like, okay, I'm going to do things the way that I think is right, and the way that I thought things should have been done, but I was trying to do something else.
Right.
Let's focus on what I know I can control. And that's trying to build a strong team, teach them the ways, give them the autonomy to do their job, and allow them to really work their branch the way that they should see it, the way that they should do it.
Yeah.
And that's where the leadership just really, like, it allowed me to do these other things and start to dive into more of the community and get involved and start to find, like, not only what's going to make me happy, but how can I start to continue to open doors for other people
Yeah.
and for other ways for us to get into different areas. And
Right.
and I loved the way that I had just such a great team in that regional role of not only supportive from my boss and the rest of my team
Mhm.
in the regional role, but like my actual team that I oversaw, like just such great motivated people that were driven to do different things
Yeah.
and wanted to also see that same vision I had of, okay, these are our branches, these are where they're located, but we have a community right outside of that branch. What are we doing to invest right outside of our own doors? Like
Yeah.
Lincoln's a big community, but all these different areas, like we have different pockets of this city that we also need to make sure we're looking at
Yes.
and really serving the customers that are coming in every day.
Yeah.
And so we just looked at it in that realm, and they did such a good job. Like they honestly made the job so much fun because they're like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I just got well, have you thought about this? Like ask them different questions, challenge it on it, not just wave a wand and say, yeah, let's do it. But challenge them on it. And if it was a great idea, it's like, well, let's try it and see if it works out. And sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. Most of the time they did fantastic work. It's like, look what you guys did. You know, like
Yeah.
it was always I loved watching them succeed in different things that they wanted to do.
Mhm.
And that's where I was like, okay, well, now how do we continue to open these different doors? And that's where like the community aspect really started coming in.
Mhm.
And then that really helped open up this position because now I feel like I get to do that day in and day out.
Gotcha.
Create these different avenues, create these different things. And I think once again, the bank saw that of, okay, if you already have these strengths, this seems like a good fit.
Right.
Let's see if this works.
Yeah.
So it was a full circle moment for me. Now I get to really do what I had the opportunity to get the help that I needed to faculty, staff, and students.
That's amazing. And, you know, when I think about Union Bank, I think of people, you know, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think of a bank. I think of, you know, Miranda, who used to work
Yeah,
there, right?
absolutely.
I think of, there's another gentleman, he recently moved on to something else, but he had like curly brown hair.
Sure. Taryn. Yep.
Taryn.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. I remember him. And then now there's another gentleman that always helps me when I come in, and I think
Sure.
of you, right? So
Yeah.
I just think of people when
Yeah.
I think of Union Bank, and
Yeah.
both of my daughters have their accounts there. And so I go there once a month to put money in their account, you know, and the people know me and they
Yeah.
know my daughter's names now,
Yep.
right? Because I'm
Yep.
there once a month, and
Yeah.
banking is kind of that cyclical thing, you know, hopefully when it comes to that. But it is all about relationships. And
It
one
is.
of the things that really impressed me about you is I know I was in a space with you and you were talking about the importance of financial literacy.
Yeah.
And the importance of helping people understand how money works and
Yeah.
and what some different things are that they can do to help get them ahead. And
Mhm.
again, as we both talk about our own personal stories of growing up and not necessarily growing up in a banking culture, understanding all those things and kind of how money works,
Yeah.
which, you know, again, I think we have to do a better job across the board, whether it be in middle school, high school, whatever the
Yep.
case might be, which they're doing a little bit more of that now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just helping to teach and reteach people about financial literacy. So tell me, what types of initiatives is Union Bank currently undertaking to do that work, that financial literacy work, right?
Sure. So I have to give like ultimate kudos to our financial literacy manager, Brittany Planos.
Mhm.
The amount of work that she's able to do in what she does and how she serves and just how well she articulates it. And we are so lucky to have her as a resource, like watching her present and communicate and be able to relate to these students and present to different nonprofits. And just, she is one of the most busiest women I've ever seen, but she just is so humble in being able to do it.
Yeah.
I think she does such great work. I don't think she gets her flowers enough. So I was like, I love being able to like introduce her to different people, or she does the same thing for me. Like
Yes.
it's been a great partnership to
That's
get her
awesome.
like more down into the different groups or student groups or faculty areas, different ways to get her involved. And then she's done the same for me of introducing me to things she's already done, been
Mm.
at. And so it's been really fun to kind of get to, one, see her work, but two, see how much of a passion she has for it.
Yes.
So that, I mean, we have such a great resource to be able to do that. And then the way she's able to just continue to open these different doors. And people are just continuously hungry for that work. And I think it's just such an important thing to be able to have. moving forward that I love to be able to see if there's any other ways that we can continue to get her into these spaces, different areas. So
Gotcha. So she's out and about on campus working with registered student organizations and just really supporting the campus from that perspective, and also helping you build relationships and everything else. And so when you think about, just the overall reach of the bank currently on campus and within the community and everything else, I've seen some really cool things from Union Bank. I think you all co-sponsored a stadium or something over at Northwest High School.
Northwest, yep.
And so, that to see that level of partnership in the community is pretty amazing, right? And that's a beautiful facility. My daughter had a track meet out there last year, and just to see, what that is, it's absolutely amazing. But what are some other things that Union Bank does? Because I know some of the nonprofits that I've participated in, working closely with, have engaged in. You all have a grant cycle on a yearly basis or something where you give away funds to different smaller nonprofit organizations and different things like that. So
not necessarily my area.
Gotcha.
Down on the university, we do help out a number of different student organizations, which is always great for me to be able to get directly involved with.
I see.
So I love when these student groups come in and, maybe it's a sponsorship that they're looking for, requesting, and those things like that. I get to speak with them. And what I'm trying to do is really give them the opportunity to maybe pitch an idea, or that to get into that point where somewhere down the road, you're going to have to pitch that idea. And I think when I talk to certain students in different groups, I tell them about 3 certain skills that I think that I had created over time.
Yeah.
That didn't come easy, but it was built, was sales, networking, and communication. But the sales aspect, they look at it from a different way. It's no matter where you go, you're going to have to sell yourself, a service, or a product.
That's right.
And so it's trying to figure out, well, how do you get that? How do you get in the room first? How do you get that first meeting? How do you create that sense of here is what I'm here to do? And then being able to broaden that out through the network and the communication, being able to communicate clearly and being able to do. So it's one of those things where this is a hopefully a benefit too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love just being able to work with those student groups, or being able to, sponsor these different things. And we've been lucky enough to be able to be a presence and a resource on campus for that kind of work for a while.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what I hear you saying there is just that you do get the opportunity to interact with students, and you've continued to sit back and really take up space in that mentoring side of things, right? Where you take every opportunity to sit down with them and talk to them about this idea of sales, networking, communication. And that's great. Because again, when you're going through college, as you know, you're going through a lot of development, right? And you're trying to kind of figure out where your place in the world is and what you're going to do. And I think when they see a person like yourself that has the unique story that you have and where you ended up, it's truly a testament to, you just never know how some of these other skills that have come from other things that you've done. Because when you think of sales, networking, and communication, that really is very important for a person who happens to be, pursuing a rap career too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Learned it all through that.
Exactly. Yes. Like you said, it was a full circle moment, right?
It was learning it all through that. And, and it's funny when every time we go somewhere, we'll go out to eat with my boss or something, we'll go to a place, and I'll always run into someone that I knew.
Yes.
And he says, it's we're on a perfect streak. He's everywhere we go somewhere, it's you're going to know someone. Somehow that happens. I'm but that's been such a benefit to me in these roles of being able to open doors, knowing people like yourself. I remember when when Miranda was in the position and introducing both of you, we went out to lunch and had lunch together. And I knew Dr. Chatters from this time. And so it was one of those things of just trying to connect people and open different doors,
right? Of
how can we make something that seems so simple, like a connection with a person, into what it should be. And that might be a different, a broader relationship, into a broader network, or an opportunity, or a resource, all these different things. It could be, if it's put, in the best way, best foot forward.
Yes, that's amazing. And, it's just neat to hear about utilizing those skills across the board. And the fact that, again, at some point, it's interesting to think back on your story too, and hear about you continuing to navigate just movement upward in the organization and having that imposter syndrome. I know that's something you brought up. And, now that you're where you are currently, what does the future look like for you? And what are some of your long-term goals and objectives? And how do you continue to help people as you continue to move along in your journey?
Sure. I'm taking it one day at a time, honestly. I have some personal goals, but I think when it comes to the career, it's just be the best at the job I've got right now. Like that's the goal. Like I look at it as there's so much opportunity, and I also sometimes have to kind of pump my own brakes because there's just when I go back to like I look a lot at my Clifton strengths, and I look at like some of my top ones, one being maximizer. So if I see something that has a bit like a spark in it, I want to make sure that thing is brought to a full flame before I leave it, and then activator along with that. But self-assurance is one too.
Yes.
Like I didn't have that for a long time, didn't utilize it, but there's a lot of things I just have to, I feel good in my gut that I have to do this.
Yes.
And being strategic about it. But there's a lot of things that I think personally, like one, just good husband, father, being able to take care of my family, instill some of these good character, moral values into my kids and with my family. But then just, you know, I'm one that always wants to continue to challenge myself too.
Right.
So there's like physical things that I want to do and gearing up for another High Rocks competition in February. So there's a lot of different things that I try to do personally.
Yeah.
But I think
so we'll talk more about that
going.
when we get back. So you're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters and Tom Jara on 93.7 The Ticket.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
If the power is out, traffic lights might be too. If you come across a dark intersection, treat it like a four-way stop. See more tips at les.com/safety.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Are you looking to upgrade your equipment and keep cash in your pocket? Through October at Landmark Implement, get up to a 24-month waiver on select John Deere tractors and combines, or lock in a 2.9% fixed rate for 36 months, followed by a qualified standard rate for another 36 months. Whether you're thinking of this year's harvest or planning ahead, we've got a solution that works for your bottom line. Visit your local Landmark Implement for more details, or check us out at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates, financing, savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back. It has just been absolutely amazing to spend some time with Tom today. You know, just honestly, we got a chance to cross paths throughout our lives so far, and in so many unique ways. And just kind of like seeing you as a rapper, seeing you as a business guy in the community, and now, of course, as a dad. Some of those really, unique alignments. You talking about your humble upbringing and just some of the different things that you experienced growing up, and kind of us really leveling on this concept of not knowing much about banking. Now you're in the industry.
Yeah.
And helping people as much as you possibly can. You're managing people, you're utilizing your leadership, all your skills and your strengths, which is awesome. And it was amazing to hear about you talk about the full circle moment of being in a position where you get to build relationships, and you get to not only build relationships with customers, but the people in the banks that you work with and closely see young people grow up and through the industry and make the same progression moves that you did as well. Throughout banking and everything else. And so it's just neat to listen to that. But you also have some things that you do that are more kind of physical in nature. And so you were talking to me about a half marathon with 50 pounds on your back, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about some of these physical things that you got yourself into.
Yeah. So there was just a time like 2023, 2024. I was just going through this transition of, man, I needed to get back into a shape that I felt good about, not only having young sons, and I'm like, I got to be able to run around with these boys for a long time.
Yes.
But just to be a little bit more present, disciplined in that realm.
Yes.
And so I really went kind of all in on my health at that point in time. And just started eating better. For a long time, I thought I was eating well. I ended up just getting actually some professional help from a nutritionist and really working through that of like, okay, what should I be eating? How should I be eating? What times? Like just trying to make sure. So went through that, but then that started leading into, okay, well, what else can the body do?
Right.
And so it started with like small things, doing a Go Ruck competition. So me and a buddy won a 12-miler with, I think it was 30 to 40 pounds. We had to do that together. And that was just something we thought from like let's try this. So we ended up winning that one.
Oh, wow.
And then we did I did the half marathon, did a full marathon, did the market to market with 20-pound vests in 2024. But the half marathon with the 50, that was just kind of an idea of we went and so I'm on the community involvement committee for the bank. And we went and toured at Cedars and I just through the tour was just having these ideas. And then all of a sudden I had one of the coworkers at the bank was like, you ever thought about running for charity? I was like, never crossed my mind. I wish it had. Wished I would have thought of that idea, but I would have done all these other ones for charity. But he brought that spark, and I was like, let's see. So that night I put it up online of for every $20 that's raised, I'll put an extra pound on. We ended up raising $1,200, which ended up in, at least 50 pounds that I had. Would have been more, but I had 50. So like, all right, we'll do it with 50 pounds, and ended up being able to donate a good chunk of change to Cedars. And
that's amazing.
I mean, the 13 miles, like I kind of told you, like you didn't feel anything because you're running for a bigger purpose.
That's right.
And then you get to the end and you feel like a train hit you. But it was one thing that just, you felt good.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. So, pushing yourself physically, mentally, it takes a lot of mental toughness and fortitude to get through some of those more grueling physical activities. And it sounds like that's how you're pushing yourself now, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just been so amazing to talk to you today, Tom, and just hear about your journey from Ogallala all the way across the state and all the things in between, the people who have poured into you. I did want to give you an opportunity to thank those people on the air and
Absolutely.
just, bring those people up and thank them.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, first and foremost, thanks to you, Dr. Chatters, for just having me on. This is a cool experience, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to tell my story and just have a good conversation. It's always good to cross paths. Start with my parents too. Mom and dad have really got me through a lot and just been there in any type of support. My wife, Kels, who gave me the opportunity, she allowed me to take the risk to jump into banking when we already had a ton of responsibility on our plates, and put us in that situation. But if she would have never put that trust in me, I don't know where that would have taken me in. But I appreciate her trust in me to take that leap at a time. My two boys at home, Ryan and Rudy, those boys are just spark of life. I want to make sure I thank the families, a few of the families back in Ogallala, the McQuillans and the Bowers that really kind of took me in. Just were such a caring group of people for me. The Maxes at home, some friends at home that I know are watching this, and I think there's just a number of people. My sisters. Who tried to get me to sing on air here.
That's right.
So I gotta thank her for that. But just so many people, the bank in general, for giving me opportunities, trusting me and believing in the abilities I had, and goodness, I'm sure there's more people I'm missing, but those are the ones that are coming to my mind here.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. I know you have a lot of things going on. You are a burgeoning soccer coach, right? You're coaching soccer.
Yep,
and
you bet.
and
Team Storm.
Yes, Team Storm. That's awesome. My daughters went to Elkhorn South, so we love the Storm idea,
fantastic.
right?
Yep.
But there's just so many things that you shared with me today, Tom, that honestly I just did not know about you. And I think it's always amazing to sit down and talk with somebody about what makes them who they are.
Yeah.
From a worldview perspective, all the different unique things that have impacted your life. And I truly appreciate your humility to come on our show and talk about some of those things. What I'll truly remember and take away is just the joy of you traveling in the summer with your parents and that RV, and just like enjoying life with your nephews and everything. And the fact that you also had this rap career, right? That's so cool, man. And now you're at the bank and you're bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. And as I always say, I hope you lift off. I hope this story today has inspired you to continue being who you are, authentically you, and using your strengths to be amazing. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. You've been listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket.